drug abuse, cancer,
measles, diabetes, AIDS, cancer.
Good evening once again, and welcome to another edition of Doctor on Call. Last week we had our first program, and of course, as you can recall, we had a representative from the Food and Nutrition Council, Akeem Williams, who shared with us what we felt should be part of your resolutions for 2024, eating healthy and properly, so that you can ensure the best possible health. Because of course, food can, give you the best possible health, and it can also give you the worst. So you have to understand what needs to be done, and we shared quite a lot with you last week. So we trust that at least you took something. This week, as we get closer and closer to the celebration of 50 years of independence, there's a lot happening in Grenada. Not just the celebration, not just the red, the gold, and the green, but there's also the C, the D, and the F. COVID, the flu, dengue, among others. And this evening, we want to chat with you about that. And of course, I am so happy to welcome with us Dr. Nixon. Dr. Nixon, good evening. Happy New Year. Welcome back. It's such a pleasure to have you. How are you doing?
Good evening. I call it a so-so thanks.
You're so thanks. That's not bad.
No, that's not good. Actually a good place to start.
Mm-hmm. It is.
We still have a lot of improvement. There's how Akeem spoke about it, taking life into control, talking the way you're gonna live, exercise, blah blah. There are a lot of things that we have to take into consideration. It's a new year, but it's a good time to take stock before we take off again. And now in January 2024, we should actually be aware of where we were in January 23. Do you remember us asking people to apply one principle, one thing you learn every week?
Yes,
and
indeed.
I met people who have told me they have been applying those things to their family lives. And so they feel a lot, there's a lot of change. They understand better their health situation and all the rest of it. So let's see what 2024 brings, apart from 50 years of independence.
Yeah.
How much independence have you been practicing?
Definitely. And whether or not is the right kind of independence, because like everything else, you have to put things into proper context so that it makes sense, and it's in your best interest. So, yes. Doc, we're celebrating 50 years of independence. We've it's been quite a journey for Grenada.
Yes.
And health-wise, some of the things that come to mind immediately, the dengue, the chikungunya, the Zika, and most recently, COVID-19 that really...
Back again.
Yes.
Like a bad dream.
Indeed. And that's just, some of the outstanding ones that just came. And that does not, by mentioning these, by no way we are excluding the hypertension and the diabetes and the cancers which continue to plague us, and so much more. But, we're in the middle of the celebration, and we are seeing reports that there has been a little increase in the rise of COVID-19. There's the bad flu going around. There is dengue.
And there's a bad common cold.
There, definitely. And
I was talking to a friend in New York today who hardly had voice. And everybody in our household, she has probably 8 people living in our household, and about 8. And they're all ill.
I can imagine.
Simply because these viruses just jump from one person to the other very, very easily and are easily incorporated into your system. And hence the reason we should do what we can. And a lot of things are a way to prevent the viruses that cause not only the common cold, not only the flu, but also that cause COVID.
Yes.
We've been through there. We know what 2019 December was, and we know what 2020 summer was for us when we lost 200 people
Yes.
to a virus that we could have had even more control over had we taken the basic precautions that we asked. But I think we're better and we're brighter and we have experience, and I hope we take that to the fore in order to preserve our lives and the lives of those who love.
Oh, most definitely. Doc, we anticipate a lot of people coming in. I know people have already started coming in because a lot of promotion was done on this special occasion here in Grenada, 50 years of independence. So there are many Grenadians who are coming home for that celebration. There are other people who are coming in. Also, we are in the peak of the tourist season. We do have quite a lot of cruise ships coming in as well. So there's going to be a lot of people here. And of course, when you have a lot of people, things can happen, So we have a responsibility to protect ourselves. So, Doc, I want to allow you to lead off because 3 of the conditions we mentioned, COVID, dengue, and the flu,
and the common cold.
And the common cold.
Not to be mixed up with the flu.
Right. They're there.
It's similar but very different.
Yes, indeed. They're there, and we need to do what we're supposed to do. Let's talk about that from first maybe a medical perspective, and then we can look at or remind folks, because we've spoken about it a lot, how they can protect themselves and the importance of protecting yourselves.
So good evening again, everyone, and Happy New Year, Grenada. Haven't had the chance to say that. It's really good to be back. Really good to be here sharing, and hope that we're all wiser for it at the end of the day. And of course, this is when you ask questions, you bring suggestions, because we want to all go even better together. I remember February 4th, 1974. I wouldn't ask people where they were, because some people weren't born yet, but a lot of us were alive. I was going to convent. And remember all the conflict. Remember the demonstrations. Yesterday was the memory of Bloody Monday, when they had the violent demonstrations. Mr. Bishop was shot and killed. Students were tear gassed. It was a horrible day. But that was a big crowd. And that's the same kind of crowd with all this enthusiasm and shouting and chanting in the streets and the passion and people hugging and walking together, right? And jumping up in each other's face. Had there been COVID, they'd have had a lot of victims of COVID. Had there been influenza and common cold going around, we'd have a lot. So we're 50 years ahead, and I think 50 years ahead of 1974 is a good place. We have made a lot of mistakes. We have done a lot of positive things. Our health sector has improved in some ways and has not improved as fast as it should in other ways. But there is access to care. People are living longer because they choose to, and they live in not as long because they choose not to make bad choices for health. There's more access to information, so you can take my favorite object of my phone, and I don't know how to put it. Your favorite object can get anything you want. Go to whatever you like. So there's information. I want to start with the big picture because I want us to look at the fact that we are going to have a lot of people around, whether in your house, whether you're bugged up in a supermarket, or whatever. 2 weeks ago, I was walking in town, and we had a cruise ship that brought in 5,000 people, 5,003 passengers, and they're probably like another 2,000 crew. No, they don't all come ashore, but 5,000 people in town, more than we had the day before, is a lot. And they were walking around. A lot of them were people from the Caribbean, and they were walking, exploring. It was like, you couldn't figure out that. People said, what, a lot of people in town, we? Yes, but I said, but they're tourists. Really? I thought it was us. I said, no, because they look like us, they come from our region, they dress like us, they behave like us. One of the things we do, because the tourists tell you every day, how Grenadian people nice. They're friendly, they say hello, they stop and chat to you, they help you, okay? As the guys who come here for cricket, who don't reach the Humback Bridge because people in the river are nice. They sit and drink for 3 or 4 days with them. The truth is that we are hospitable. We go to people, how can I help you? And we help people as far as we can. It means that we become more intimate with people who are coming and maybe having stuff that we don't have on island. Flu. The flu, I was asking today, what was the nature of the flu? And it's caused by the H3N2 virus. So that's another variety of the H-whatever-N viruses. But it's bad. It's bad for most people. It's bad because it causes a lot of pain and body aches and a lot of fever and that cough, that prolonged cough and that sore throat and that headache, and that which makes you can't go to work and make you can't go to 50th anniversary things. We all want to be able to enjoy this 50 years as we look to another 50 years of Grenada's growth, of Grenada's independence from where we're coming from, and going to a point where we're always going to be dependent on each other. There's nothing as pure independence. We're always going to be interdependent on our neighbors and friends. But Grenada's growth has to grow. Grenada's growth can't advance with people who are sick. So we need to be responsible in this time. COVID. So my understanding is there were 17 cases last week in Grenada. That is 17 people who turn up to check. Right? That is 17 people who probably turn up on time. Because there are people, if you turn up late, you may not be able, you may be undetectable. Simply because the virus is already starting to dissipate and it's done its bad work and triggered off all the symptoms that you may have. But the virus, the quantity, the concentration of the virus in your body has gone down. So we are not, I want us to make a pledge tonight that we're not going to be 2020 ever again. Simply because we know a few things about COVID. We know that COVID is a virus that attacks fundamentally the respiratory system. Through the respiratory system, that is where you breathe, it's introduced into the rest of your body. We know that when the virus gets into your body in its defense, as it knows, sets off a certain amount of reactions. One of those reactions is that excessive production of secretions in the respiratory tract. So we saw people, again, as we said in 2020, 2021, drown in their own respiratory secretions. Because the response that your body has to this thing coming on board is like, if you see a set of ants, you pick up the big gun and spray it. But some people will spray the whole can of spray to kill off one ant. Or let's say a centipede. Everybody afraid centipede. Well, right? So you see one centipede. If you spray it one time, you're going to dead enough. But some people empty the big gun can because their response is exaggerated. And that's what happened when we had COVID. All of that respiratory symptoms. But we also see people now having gastrointestinal symptoms, the vomits, the nausea, the abdominal pain. And of course, there's the general symptoms like fever and headache, general weakness, and all the rest of it. May it be the flu? It may. But you can only figure out what you have if you go get tested. You can test at a private physician, you can test at anybody else's physician, and you can go to the health center and get tested. Why we get tested? Not because we want to tell on you, but we want to know how widespread this virus is. So if I live in Ohio and you live in Timbuktu, the likelihood of us bucking up might be small, having any interaction, unless we're in the park together, in the stadium together, unless we're at one session in the night. I would hate to give you my virus to take back to Timbuktu, where everybody's enjoying health. And so apart from you test to figure out what's going on with you and to understand how to behave to protect you, but you also test to figure out what you have and how to behave to protect other people. Okay, we can't have half our population down with a disease that we can prevent. And there are three cardinal things to do, three basic things we can do to prevent COVID, getting COVID. Wearing a mask. Oh, I have a mask here. And wearing a mask means covering your face properly with a mask. I just happen to have this, okay? Most of the masks you wear are the straight ones. How do you wear your mask? You double the rim. You double the bridge, the metal bridge, in two. You place it. This mask is kind of designed, okay? It's a designer mask, so it has shape. But in the flat mask, you put it over your nostril, and you bend it over your nose. You put it behind your ear. You tighten it according to, and you pull it down, okay? you pull it down. This one gives us eye. And I know people have challenges. You have to cover all of the airways, which is the mouth and the nose, in order for your mask to be of any value. There's no need to walk around with your mouth cover, or you just want to cover your babes. That is not going to work. Okay? Covering your bed is a waste of time. You might as well walk around and take what you get. But we have to be responsible. We have to be responsible before teachers. I know that children who have had COVID, school kids, classrooms had to be shut down. Kids have had to be sent home until that period is over. So let's be responsible. Is it cute? No, not so cute, but it's cuter than having a respirator in your system or being in the hospital and missing all of the enjoyment, because there is a lot of stuff going on.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. There
is a lot of stuff. So let's be responsible to ourselves as far as COVID. We've been there, we've done that, and some people didn't get a chance to finish it because they died. Let's, in honor of those who unfortunately lost their life, those 200 and something people who lost their lives, let us be more responsible and say, no, we're not going to do this to our country again. And that's part of thinking independently. That's part of thinking responsibly. That's part of thinking futuristically. How am I going to prevent my country from having challenges that are going to decrease our potential to produce, our potential for general enjoyment, and our potential to get ahead and give us an opportunity that a little bit of money in the health sector can take care of things that are chronic, things that we can prevent, like giving vaccines and stuff, building programs, exercise, nutrition, all the rest, okay? Building facilities for people who have disabilities and need special need, etc., etc. So let's just be responsible as that is concerned. Whereas COVID, there's COVID everywhere in the world, I think. The Chinese, again, were the first ones to report that they had a whole lot of COVID. We don't know what variant is in Grenada, because I asked, and I was told that they sent off to CARPHA, which is a Caribbean Public Health Research Authority agency. So they do all the research of all the diseases, especially the transmissible diseases in the whole of CARICOM. They have not yet had a response as to which variant we have, but guess what? We have COVID. And there's a couple of things we do. One, cover your face. Two, stay out of big crowds. If you're in a crowd, keep some distance. And of course, nutrition, lots of fluids, the vitamin D, the zinc, vitamin C, and all the rest of it. And be responsible if you feel you have symptoms. Any symptoms you have, as vague as it may be, you can always go and get a COVID test in the interest of the well-being and just respect for our fellow Grenadians, so we can all have fun together.
Yeah. Doc,
what is about COVID? I know there have been some people who have gastrointestinal symptoms, so they're also nauseous and vomiting and that kind of stuff, and it is COVID as well. Mm-hmm. Because we know the first COVID bout in the US, a lot of people died of gastrointestinal symptoms, especially in the Black populations, because whereas the other populations manifested a lot of respiratory symptoms, Black people had gastrointestinal symptoms. And so we lost a lot of people as a result of that.
Mm-hmm. Doc, one of the things I wanted, as you mentioned that, we need to do what we have to do. This is important because I don't think we want to get back to a place where, government has to lock down again or impose sanctions, so to speak, on the people. I mean, that did not go down well with a lot of people. And so it was because many of us were not doing what we were supposed to do. Exactly. And so this is what happened. And
we paid very dearly for it. And we need to remember, it's only a couple of years ago. We paid very dearly. We lost too many people. We lost too many important people. We lost the oldest citizen, which was a part of our national heritage, right? That lady in Calico, Miss Massima. And that broke my heart. I think that was one of the greatest loss I had seen out of COVID. People who have so much to remind and to share with the country, and that kind of value of how wealthy we are as per our seniors, with all the knowledge, all the experience, all the wisdom. And we lost too many of our senior citizens. Senior citizens don't go to dance hall. They don't go to party. They don't play jab. They don't do any of these things, right? So we, the ones who are out there, were the ones who took this virus to them. Unfortunately, let's not let history repeat itself. This is not a time. This is
Right.
not a time.
Right, definitely so. But I want us to continue because and maybe just move a little from COVID. We're gonna get back because it's important. The common cold. Now, generally there's a perception. Okay, well, I mean, the common cold is always there. You get it, and it's gonna go. You probably cough, a little cold in your nose and things like that, and then eventually it goes away. But let's go a little deeper. Having the common cold, are there long-lasting effects that can result from having the common cold?
So I guess it depends on what your own immune state is. Mm-hmm. So if you're at a party every night and drinking rum and smoking tobacco and doing drugs and doing all this stuff and not eating properly and dieting because you want to look skinny in the whatever you're going to wear and all the rest of it, and your immune system is not up to par. Your body's defense system, it police and soldier them not working because they're really beaten. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's important that we recognize that when we're in that state, we are at greater risk for getting anything, especially the common cold. It's a virus that enters through your nostrils, right? Shouldn't last more than 3 to 5 days. By the third day, the symptoms should come down. What do you have? Fever, yes, because your body trying to fight off an infection. Headache, yes, because your blood vessels are a little dilated because they're trying to cool you down. Coughing, maybe a little sore throat. Something you can alleviate with taking some analgesics, doing warm gargles, drinking a lot of fluid. It should go away. Runny nose. But if your body can't manage, you end up getting tracheitis, which is the infection down in your trachea or your windpipe. You end up getting pneumonias. That can happen. And we have to watch for our children, make sure they too are in a state of health, so their immune systems can defend against that. Right? You're gonna have a runny nose, not yellow, thick, green. That is not common cold. That is way beyond common cold. That is complicated common cold. All right. Thick, especially if it's thick and green. We know that's not your child having headaches, vomiting. I'm not talking about retching. I'm talking about just vomit like a bullet out of a gun. You don't want that to happen because you can have complications. All right. So we need to understand that one, we need to prevent ourselves from getting the common cold. And some people get it every time. This kind of weather we've been having, it's gotten a little damp and miserable, and the viruses raise their head. But then we have people coming in who bringing it in. Like I tell my friends, 8 of them in their house, everybody's sick. Mm-hmm. So watch out for these people. And guess what? Nothing wrong in wearing a mask. One of my patients the other day come by, she always have these, I tend to have allergy, but I always have this, like I always have a cold. And I said, stop wearing your mask. She hasn't had a cold in 2 months. Mm-hmm. Simply because she's been creating a barrier between herself and the viruses that trigger off her asthma. So we have to be responsible. Everyone is responsible for themselves and the people that they take care of. Mm-hmm. Our older people who are home, housebound, we need to put masks on and ask our visitors to put on your mask. Okay? Mm-hmm. So that we don't have complicated situations. And like I said, the common cold should go away in 3 to 5 days. It should, at least by the day 3, you should feel a lot better. Start feeling, I'm not having this fever as much.
If you don't.
If your children have the cold, keep them home. Mm-hmm. Send them somewhere. They cannot go and contaminate the other 300 children in the school. You wouldn't want that to happen. Granted, it might have been another child who came in. But if your children has a cold, it is important that you keep them away from the cold so that they can heal and the other children can be prevented from infection.
But what if you have, what is supposed to be the common cold? And 3 days, there seems to be no improvement, 4 days, 5 days, and nothing. What should you do at this point?
You really should go to see a doctor. You really should visit your physician. And if you know that, like my friend who's of blessed memory, that if you have a cold today and tomorrow you're going to have pneumonia, you go to the doctor from your feel you're getting a cold. Because some people are like that. It will drop down, and in a day or 2, you will be ill. So if you know that is your fate, deal with it fairly and squarely. All right? Know that I need to make sure that I do not get that ill. And so go miss the party. And there's a lot of party, like I tell you.
Oh, yeah.
I think that time for us to celebrate, we didn't get to celebrate 50 years ago because there was so much controversy. This is our time when we say, hey, we've accepted this and we change and we're growing and we're glowing. and all of us should be here to enjoy this.
Definitely. We don't want to miss.
The children can get meningitis. The children can get, or we can get pneumonias, right? And that is not easy. Then some people need medications in their veins, so they get hospitalized. Some of the COVID patients are complicated by the COVID cases are complicated because they don't have COVID-19 pneumonia. So apart from treating the symptoms of the COVID, you have to get antibiotics. No, I want to remind parents that because your child have a cold or look at Eric does not mean that he needs antibiotics. Please, the child must be properly evaluated, so you don't go and tell the doctor you want antibiotics. No, that's not how it goes. It's just symptomatic medication. Panadol for the flu, for the fever, lots of fluid. You might need some saline for decongestion. Encourage your child to drink. When a child gets hungry, when he starts getting better, he's going to eat your fridge out. So you don't have to worry about that. Okay? Pay attention. Look for if there's anything. If your child, it is very, very important when your child has a fever that you keep that fever down. Yes, and I know that I've worked in the emergency room and I know I've been called evil, wicked woman by sponging on a baby in room temperature water. But the baby's still alive today. Right? What would I tell mothers? Take off all the child clothes, open the window. He's not going to catch draft. Okay? That is not a diagnosis. He is going to love you because when you sponge him down, you probably can just keep on his brief or his Pampers, whatever's at the bottom, or hers, under, just a little clothes under, and sponge them in room temperature water, especially at the temples. Wet 2 rags, 2 pieces of cloth, I don't care what it is, wet them, 2 pieces of hand towel, and keep them there because you don't want your child between 6 months and 4 to get seizures as a result of when a fever, like I said, fever go up in his head. Your brain fries, your children end up having seizures, your children end up having learning disabilities, a lot of challenges, behavioral problems, because especially if they have recurrent fits or seizures when they have a fever. So look for that. Once your child starts having a fever, start looking for mechanisms to take that temperature back down to normal. That is part of the response when your immune system starts work. But you also have to combat the side effect, which is often seizures. And on top of that, the children get headaches when they have high temperatures in the head because the blood vessels dilate to try and cool down the brain. Remember that the brain is probably our most important organ. It controls almost everything else, right? So you want to make sure that this essential organ that don't have no space to go, doesn't grow, doesn't shrivel, right? So what you're going to do is start to sponge the child in the temple. No, he's not going to get a cold because he already has one, right? So don't worry about that. And start, put a cold compress. It gets warm in 2 minutes. You turn it over, right? Change the water, right? Sap him down. And even when you put that cloth on, what you'd realize is that your child actually, it gets dry because when the temperatures are very high. So we must make sure that we prevent our children. And I've seen children who have had recurrent febrile seizures. Seizures or fits related to having a fever, have challenges with learning, right? Have challenges down the road. So in all fairness, we need to work on that. And that could come from getting a little cold. Right. So those are some of the things you want to make sure. Because we want a healthy population down the road.
It is important because, I think we need to dispel the myth that, okay, so I have the cold and that's it, it's going to go away. And that's about it. So we don't pay very, very much attention to it. But let's move to dengue because dengue is wrong. We've had issues with dengue and we know...
You've had issues with dengue.
I have had dengue. And I know... You had dengue? In fact, I had dengue, and I'll tell you, as an aside, I made fun of a mosquito. And by nighttime, I could not move. I had dengue.
So, again, I tell you, when I was days in medical school, which is quite a time, but dengue for me was a theoretical thing called, I remember the day I sat down, and what's this dengue thing? And I read, it's called break bone fever.
Seriously.
Okay, it's called, we did not have dengue here. It was not what we call endemic to our population. It did not exist naturally here. But because it's caused by the Aedes aegypti mosquito, it is transmitted by the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which which are bones, which is plentiful. See those little black and white mosquitoes that look like zebra and they're foot long? Those are Aedes aegypti. When do they bite? Anytime, but they will bite you in the evening and the dusk, and sometimes they bite in the day. Not a whole lot, but they do. You want to make sure that you can get rid of those mosquitoes because dengue can be deadly. There's a thing called hemorrhagic dengue. And when you get dengue, you already don't get immunity. Okay, you can't get dengue again. All right? So usually people who have hemorrhagic dengue are people who have bleeding as a consequence. And that is very, sorry, there's a mosquito here that is flying around me. That is very, it happens very suddenly and very acutely, as they call it, and strange. So you'd have, you're a little ill and then all the blotches appear. And sometimes it's not possible to save the life of the person who developed hemorrhagic dengue, right? So once you start getting symptoms, you have to start taking precautions to relieve the symptoms. Usually, again, flu-like symptoms, headache, I don't feel like eating nothing, my joints, my bones feel like they're breaking, like somebody beat me, it's very painful. So try to imagine how your children probably feeling, or your seniors who can't explain to you their symptoms if they cannot transmit or translate their physical symptoms to you verbally or otherwise.
Yes.
But please do not give your people or don't take cataflam, diclofenac, Voltaren, Advil, what's the next blue one again? Aleve. Those are called non-steroidal anti-inflammatory. Celebrex, whatever it is that you're accustomed to taking for pain, are not in style. The only thing you're allowed to take if you have dengue is Tylenol or Panadol. Right. Maybe it's not going to make the pain go away as quickly or as efficiently. You might take it down and it comes back, or it doesn't go away completely. Maybe it will not, but it will save your life. You will live to tell the story about what breakbone fever is, and you cannot explain. But please do not give your children, as a matter of fact, you're not supposed to give your children Advil for fever these days, that's the rules. Do not give somebody who you suspect might be having dengue Advil. Again, Advil, Voltaren, Cataflam, diclofenac, which is Voltaren and Cataflam in different forms, Aleve, okay? Nothing that has non-steroidal anti-inflammatory because they have the potential to cause greater bleeding and death, all right? If you're not sure, you can actually do a test for dengue. There's tests, so you can go to the pharmacy, you can go to the lab. Some doctors have the test. You can check for dengue if you will get tested. But the best thing is to prevent mosquito. Rain falling, mosquito land on callaloo leaf, dry guava leaf in a bush that curl up. The bottom of all those wild pines that we have in Lord, what's the name of that pretty plant again? I'll soon tell you.
Croton?
That looks like a pine. No, not croton. It looks like a pine that we plant in pots. And they have different things. Once it looks like a pine, there's that place in the bottom where the water stays.
Right.
My friend is a florist. She has a fabulous garden. She cultivates orchids for sale. A quarter acre of orchids. I'm telling you, a lot of plants. She has planted all of her plants, those plants that look like that, like a pine. She's planted it in her wall. She put them in pots and she stuck them in the wall, so there's no way that water would stay in the plants.
Right.
What do? Mesh your house if you can afford it. Do whatever you need to kill the mosquitoes that are there. So you want to make sure you kill every mosquito that you find. But above all, you want to make sure they don't have a place where mosquito can be formed. A female will bite you. Sorry, sting, because I know my friend listening tonight, he'll remind me that mosquito don't bite, and that's true. I'm a friend. I'm glad he reminds me. But mosquito will sting you and take blood from you, but she will take blood from you while she takes your blood, if you have dengue or not, to somebody else. Right. So in sticking her proboscis, that long thing, into you, she spits a little. And the same way when she goes over to Godfrey to get some blood, she spits a little into him and takes what he has. So whether or not you have dengue now, you still not to let mosquito bite you. So you can say, well, I have dengue already, let mosquito bite me. When the mosquito comes and takes your blood, he very politely and kindly shares it with whoever he bites next. She, because it's the female ones that bite you. Bad girl. You know, they have the bad girl syndrome. They bite you because they need to have blood so that their eggs they can provide some food for the eggs. Now, so clean out all the water around your house. Wash your vases. Wash them out properly. Take out the flowers. If you have fresh flowers that still look a little okay, take it about scrub inside of the vase. Change the water regularly. Look for the little curly thing that wiggles across the stuff. Right, clean your drains. When you open a can of peas or whatever canned food, stick the bottom as well so the water doesn't wherever it might fall, water doesn't accumulate. All the ways you can afford. Clean around your house, clean the bush as far as you can. Sweep out the drain with a rake. You know, pick up the garbage, put them in garbage bags. Let solid waste take it away. Do not give the mosquitoes any opportunity for hotel services because they will come, cradle in the little pit, in the little leaf with water or the bucket of water, whatever you have. Your drums, we don't need to collect as much now because rain falling, but the truth is they will cradle. We will not give them that opportunity to feel like, oh, I like this luxurious hotel. This is not Silver Sands. Okay. This is where we live, me and my family, and you will not come here and lie down like a tinky on the beach.
Right. Doc, we have our telephone line going. Let's take a call. We have our listeners. Doctor on call, good evening. Hello.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening, caller.
Good evening. Excuse me. Is there a special topic for tonight, or?
Or if you have a question, you can ask.
Okay, I would like to ask the doc.
So you might have to ask.
Yeah. Go ahead, caller. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, okay, so I have a question for Doc.
Yeah, sure.
Doc, excuse please. I heard that men get ball plated from their mother. I would like to get an explanation to that, please.
You say ball plated?
Yeah, ball head.
Yeah,
yeah, ball plated.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, no problem. Thank you, caller. All right, yes.
What's the question?
So men who are bald.
When what?
Men who are bald-headed. Yeah. He's saying that he understands that it comes from the mother. I guess he's speaking in terms of heredity. Yes. So he wants you to respond to that.
That men get their baldness from the mother?
Yeah.
But I've seen very few women bald, but that's serious now. Sorry, I don't mean to tease you. Actually, I don't know this. I don't know of this. I've seen in my own family, the guys who have been bald, can I get it from my father? But I no, seriously, because my brothers are bald and my mother's family don't lose their hair. The men die with their hair lying down to where it's supposed to be. But that's something I can check. I had no idea of that. Okay, I honestly can't give you an answer. The truth is, what I find is that our men are balding earlier. And we've been talking about this a lot. Me and some friends, I think we talked about it here one night, that our younger men, when I was growing up, I didn't know young men. Bald men were men in their 40s and 50s. But I've seen men in their 20s already having to shave their head because they have lost much of their hairline. We think it's because of how we eat, the foods that we eat. A lot of the food that we eat have hormones and a lot of toxins. We eat a lot of fast food, a lot of pre-prepared foods, so tin stuff, high processed foods, and that often have preservatives and stuff. So that might be one of the major contributors. But I really don't know of the family relationship. So thank you, sir. That's a mind jiggler. It makes my mind start work.
Just quickly. Does age have anything to do with it? I mean, I know with age, a lot of you're not the same.
Because as you get older, your testosterone kind of drop, and that's what makes men hairy. Okay, all this testosterone makes you, You have hair. You have hair in your armpits, hair, other areas. That kind of defines, men get out of hair on their body, their legs, their chest and stuff, so on their back. But as you get older and the male hormones are not as efficient, you tend to lose a lot of your body hair.
While we're on that, Doc, what about the grays?
What about
gray hairs as we age, our hairs change color.
I didn't hear that word because
the gray hairs as we get older.
Gray hairs?
Yeah, the gray hairs.
What about the gray hairs?
No, I'm asking if it's solely because of age or there are other factors that can.
But there are genetic factors, and I think there are also genetic factors related to groups, to ethnic groups. So if you look at some of the people from the Far East, they gray very early. Look at the Indian population, East Indian population. I'm talking about North American Indians and stuff. I'm talking about Indians for Indians. You see a lot of graying very early. And then you see in families where they gray very, very early. So there's a lot of genetics related to that as well.
Okay. So. All right. No problem. Okay. Let's take a very quick break and we're going to come back. We're going to engage some more callers and continue our discussion. Stay with us, folks. We'll be back in a moment.
Agritech Limited Grenada is your one-stop shop for all your farming needs. We provide seeds and seedlings, pesticides, fertilizers, irrigation and water management systems, veterinary products, and a wide range of agricultural products and implements. Our staff is knowledgeable and ready to serve you. Call us on 435-9677 or 440-4460 or visit us in Happy Hill, St. George. We are open Monday to Saturday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays, 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. Agritech Limited Grenada. Come grow with us.
Get ready to mark a historic milestone. It's the 50th anniversary of Independence Gala Cocktail and Dance, Saturday, 3rd February 2024 at the Crown Ballroom Radisson, starting at 7 p.m. for the all-inclusive cost of $500. All proceeds go towards the restoration of Government House. Secure your tickets now and be a part of history. Be there at the Radisson on February 3rd, 2024, hosted by Governor General Dame Cecile Lagranade.
Tickets available at Grenadian Optical, Melville Street and Grand Anse, the 50th Anniversary Independence Committee Secretariat on the Carenage, and online at gotofet.com.
Get ready to mark a historic milestone. It's the 50th anniversary of Independence Gala Cocktail and Dance, Saturday, 3rd February 2024 at the Crown Ballroom Radisson, starting at 7 p.m. for the all-inclusive cost of $500. All proceeds go towards the restoration of Government House. Secure your tickets now and be a part of history. Be there at the Radisson on February 3rd, 2024, hosted by Governor General Dame Cecile Lagranade.
Tickets available at Grenadian Optical, Melville Street and Grand Anse, the 50th Anniversary Independence Committee Secretariat on the Carenage, and online at gotofet.com.
I'm a VIP. I'm a VIP.
I am a VIP. I am vaccinated. I am immunized. I am protected. Our children and nation depend on vaccination for immunization. Childhood vaccination is national priority. It is their protection from disease and sicknesses. Let's all be VIPs and safeguard our beautiful Grenada. I am DJ Blackstorm and I am a VIP health champion. Be a VIP like me.
Let's all be VIP champions.
A message from the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Religious Affairs, Be a VIP Childhood Vaccination and Immunization Campaign in collaboration with UNICEF and the Pan American Health Organization.
Drug abuse, cancer,
measles, diabetes, AIDS, cancer.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Doctor and Call, our second edition for 2024. And for those of you probably joining us for the very first time, or if you just joining us, of course, Dr. Nixon is here with us as always, and we're just talking about the importance of our health as we celebrate 50 years of independence. Doc, before we go to the telephone lines and invite our callers, 50 years of independence, and of course we know what our healthcare system has been like over the years. We've had some very good stories. We've also had some stories that are not so happy, stories we would rather not remember. But as we move ahead, and as one Calypsonian said, we just 50. Where should our minds be as it relates to our health? Where should that be as we move 50 and beyond?
As we've always been asked from the 70s, with the Alma Ata Convention, we started to look at primary care. And primary care focuses basically on prevention. And we really should. Every Grenadian has a responsibility to see, how can I prevent myself from being ill? And how would I make sure that I am well? It is very important that how would I make sure I don't get sick and I reach that life expectancy, how long I'm expected to live on the day I was born. No, I think is 75 for women and 71 or a little over 71 for men. And we're not going to talk about why men don't reach 75, because in other populations, men reach 80, but women still a little ahead. And there are things that cause that. One of the biggest is because women seek health care. Okay? Women will talk to their girlfriends when they have depression. They don't go and drink rum and do drugs. Women are safer. They don't jump into running water. Like, children jump off the river going down, so they think they could see, like I see a fool the other day, I don't know what he thought it was, it was raining today, and something up in St. Andrew, jump into the river on a thing that looked like one of those boards that they swim in the sea.
Well, there are always those among us,
So those are the things, and because our men don't seek health care as quickly as women, and we're gonna have to focus on ourselves being well, but we're also gonna have to focus on our children, because what we have already as adults. How do I prevent my children from being unwell? How do I ensure that a child is nestled in a healthy womb that's created by a healthy male and female? So we're going to have to think better about reproduction and how important it is to be a healthy reproducer. Okay? So if you, as a male, decide you're going to have children, you're going to have to stop drugs, you're going to have to stop drinking, you're going to have to be healthy as well, so that the sperm that you produce is healthy, and it needs to be a healthy egg from a woman who's been taking a folic acid, exercising, blah, 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 don't have things. Doing screening for diseases like sickle cell, which is very prevalent, and we're going to hear a lot about that again as it goes by. 15% of our people have this physical trait, right? And probably 1 in 3 persons every 100 have sickle cell disease, right? We have a lot of people with sickle cell disease. We have kind of similar to what's in the world, right? Because sickle cell disease is a disease of the hemoglobin, a protein in your blood that makes your blood red, right? And it is moved on genetically. I think we need to move to genetic counseling. That's one of the things. If you're gonna have to be like the rest of the world, okay? Because this is we talk about globalization. That's what it includes. Am I behaving as well as my neighbors? Okay? We're gonna have to look at making sure that our children have good nutritional behaviors. You have to stop back planting food behind the house, right? Instead of letting bush grow or have too much flowers. We kind of need like a space so that we can plant food. Food is expensive. Food in the supermarket is very expensive. But go back to how we used to eat. There's absolutely nothing wrong with yam and potato and fig and blogger and can't remember that because I don't like that one, but dasheen and stuff. Actually, good food. Small amounts keeps you for the day, right? Making sure that children go out and play. So we have active children, right, who not obese and all the rest of it. Dental care, right? Your children, if they have what we call prophylaxis or preventive care, they go to get their teeth clean, they brush them every day, dentists come and check, make sure there are no cavities. We're good, right? Because people who have cavities have difficulty with their nutrition. You can't chew as well, so you don't get all of the nutrients out of the food as you get older, etc., etc. Vaccines. We've talked about that ad nauseum. I mean, we've spoken about vaccines so many times, right? But 50 years and moving, there access to all the things that I've spoken of. Aren't there? We have healthcare. We have primary healthcare. We, as Grenadians, need to access those primary healthcare services. Whether you're going to pay a doctor for it or you're going to go to the health center. Okay, so that we have to look at staying alive, right? We have to look at being healthy so that we can make this country even more prosperous. We don't need a nation of people who have challenges with alcoholism and drugs and general and chronic diseases, things that we can prevent. We need to provide facilities to make sure there are facilities for people who already have those challenges so they can be rehabilitated to become productive citizens. People with hypertension and diabetes, yes, some of us will have despite how much we try, but if we start looking for it early, we can capture it early and we can figure it out. We can treat it, we can live good lives, okay? There are things we don't have control over, but there's some things. Cancer is one of the things we can screen for, some of the basic forms. Cervical cancer of the cervix in women, prostate in men, breast in men, people who smoke, you run the risk of getting lung cancer. Depending on your diet, you run the risk of getting cancer of the large bowel, right? We know that exists. Here what? Let's look for it now, especially if it exists in your family, so that we all can go. There are facilities for screening. The Cancer Society does offer opportunities for us to be screened. And we're trying to reach nook and cranny so that people in the country in areas where they may not have access every day, that we can make sure that people get screened. But that is the responsibility of every individual, right? The Ministry of Health and other health services, people come to do, clinics and stuff, remind us and give opportunities for screening. Take them. Because the bottom line is that if you have cancer, you're cancer already. How are you going to prevent yourself from dying for it? How are you going to change your life? Okay? Dealing with mental illness is very important. That's one of the things I hope that we can improve. We can have our mental health laws that protects people with mental illness. We all think that people who are severely mentally ill, especially like people walking down the street, we all think that those people are actually dangerous. We're actually more dangerous to them because we beat them up. We prevent them from getting food. We don't take care of their health. We don't help them to get a wash as often as is possible, to find a healthy place to sleep. They get abused. The women, I've seen a young lady who's mentally ill walking around pregnant. Hello to the man. Or the men, one of them get catch, right? Who abuse people who are disabled, who can't make decisions. And talk about disabled, that's a disabled population have access to care and access to equitable, life's quality of life. You may not be able to walk, but you should be able to get around. Right. You may not be able to see, but you should be able to move about and identify your environment. You may not be able to hear, but you can be treated. You still can go to school, right? And so that there is that kind of equity among our population. Those are the things we have to look for, right? That medications are provided for people who need it, that our hospitals have the services, that our doctors can stick around a little longer and try and help our things. That, we give, I sound like a politician now, because we have to, I believe that encouragement sweetens labor. So we have to compensate the people who provide healthcare services, right? Whether it's mental health care or physical health care or whatever kind of health care, rehabilitative care. I believe that we have to try and keep our health personnel and acquire more, because there are things that are missing. And the more we get, the more we're going to need, because it means that the services get closer to perfection, which you never reach, but they get better and better and better. So then I don't have to go away to see the neurologist. I can stay here and have my brain surgery. I can have my knee replacement done here. Those are the things that advanced societies have. So 50 years and moving, I think, first of all, I must be responsible for myself and my family.
Yes, indeed.
Right? I must utilize the services that are available. We all need to move to having national health insurance so that people have access to care without being poor, becoming poor. And that the people who run the health sector do their part so that all of us can be productive, because that is what it's about, giving as much as we can to our country to make sure that Grenada is the best. Did you know that Grenada is the 10th smallest country in the world?
10?
You see that, gentlemen? And
No, I doubt. I challenge that.
It is. I saw the list.
I challenge that.
I think independent country, but we're 10 smallest, okay? However you look at it.
I'm almost certain I could, if I sit and think, I can find 15 countries that are smaller than us. Yeah, well.
Okay? So when my friends call me small island, I say, cause them bad enough, but and say you're just a little less small than we are. But but the truth is, I think we've done a lot as a small country.
Oh yes, we have. No, definitely.
Definitely. When we look at what we've exported into the diaspora in terms of human resources, we ought to applaud ourselves. But we need to be smart as that with our health and well-being.
Yeah. So Doc, let's go to the telephone. Our line is going. Or did we lose that call? All right. So folks, the number is 435-2041. We do have some time. We'll take some of your calls, your questions, and of course, we definitely love to hear from you and try as much as possible to provide you with the answers that you're looking for. Let's go to our telephone. Dr. and call. Good evening.
Good evening to the host and to the doctor.
Good evening, caller.
I would like to ask the doctor, what caused a person to have a high odor or high perspiration underneath their arm, even though they take in frequently baths?
Okay. Thank you, caller. Yeah.
You're going to have to translate into on radio because I'm not hearing properly.
Okay, yeah. So he's asking what causes people to have bad odor, especially at the armpits, even if they bathe regularly.
Okay, so we always talk about hygiene and the importance of bathing. Mm-hmm. And there's some people that even if they bathe, they may have body odors, okay? Bacteria on your skin like to be in certain places where it's damp, where there's whatever else is there.
Moisture.
Some people are more prone to having body odors than others, right? Some people have to use like a deodorant to remove the odor, mm-hmm. right? Or some people use antiperspirant. But hear me now. Sometimes as much as you bathe, right? You can't get it all because some people sweat a lot. It is important to kind of move the hair mm-hmm. that's on the armpit, cut it down. But you also have to make sure that when you're bathing, you really rub that thing. Get a nice rag and rub them. Use the deodorant. And if you have deodorant on your armpit from the day before, kind of need to break it up because the truth is, after the active component is utilized during that day, you have a waxy substance that may remain. Mm-hmm. And in that those same bacteria may accumulate. So you have to make sure you wash properly. Wash, scrub and wash, okay? And dry properly, and then put on your deodorant. Do not recycle your clothes if you are prone to having body odor. Do not recycle your clothes. Because when I say, wear this vest today, right? Or wear this bra, underclothing, it clean. But when you smell that armpit area of the under, it's like, oh, please don't kill me. You have not worn it outside. It may not have picked up dust, but certainly the bacteria that you would find under your armpit, and that, remember, it's specific to you, right? Oftentimes, will actually find itself in that thing. And tomorrow when you start to sweat and your body get warm and hot, you start to broadcast all who are hiding on their arm, much to the disappointment of the people around you. So you have to be aware of it. If you are prone, have the potential for having body odors, remember you have to bathe every day, and preferably morning and afternoon if it's possible. But you also please do not use a roll-on. I can tell anybody who have a body odor now, if you have a roll on your dresser, go and roll it and see how it smells. Because sometimes those bacteria conquer the capacity of the body of the deodorant to take care of the odor. It doesn't kill out bacteria, so the bacteria goes in there and it grows and it gets bigger numbers, and it does what it do best by providing this bad smell in the chemicals that it produces. So do not use roll-on deodorant. I tell people, if you're going to use a spray or if you're going to use one of the push-ups, and push-up every so often, you wash up the top, you scrape it off, so that whatever might have stayed there gotten on your skin. Don't put on deodorant if you've been in the gym and you're wet and stuffy, because it don't make no sense, right? Wash on the wash your clothes, whether you're going to dance, whether you're going to stuff. Don't recycle your shirts. Don't recycle any clothing, right? Anything you wear goes into the wash. Sometimes, because we use a lot of deodorant, some people tend to have deodorant that stick up under the armpits of the undershirt, the men in particular, so it gets kind of hard and cakey. You either throw the shirt, or you wash it with soap and hot water until all of that melts away, because bacteria stick in there and embarrass you.
Right.
And don't be afraid to tell. Everybody will tell me to tell somebody, my friends, my colleagues say, Sonia, you need to tell them. Guess what? It's something that people would rather you tell them politely. Call them away and say, look, I think you have a little problem you need to deal with. Just be very polite, okay? There's no need to embarrass a person or isolate yourself when a person says, come, let's talk, when other people are not there. And make somebody, become more integrative. It would be hard if when you go to the Independence Party and everybody pull up there, I'm going to have to pull it back down quickly. So let's encourage everybody to do it right. Because nobody really tells you how to do the deodorant thing, It's something people buy in deodorant, and some people don't use deodorant not knowing that they have a body odor. And the truth is, some people don't even know that they have a body odor. You tend not to smell yourself. It's the same way as brushing your teeth and keeping, if you have dentures, you have to take them out and clean them and, wash them out properly and use the proper toothbrushes and all the rest of it. So, we need to tell each other.
Indeed. All right.
Answers the gentleman's question.
Yes. So I call it. We hope that we were able to help. The number is 435-2041. If you have any question or comments, you can definitely do so. Our telephone line is open. The number again, 435-2041. So you can definitely give us a call. Doc, well, we're getting closer to wrapping up, but as we...
I want to talk for 2 minutes about crowds.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, this is where I was heading.
This
is where I was heading.
Don't take your children to those big crowds, especially in the night. Children are not supposed to be out and party at night time, okay? Unless it's a very structured place where there's space for everybody to sit and your child can be safe. Do not stress your children, okay? If you need to go, pay somebody to babysit a kid, and you can go out and party all night. Wear shoes that are comfortable. Cover up your body, because guess what? Them dengue mosquito, not partial. They're not partial at all. They're biting everybody. Everybody look good. All right? Watch the alcohol. Watch the alcohol. Be safe. Make sure you're not drugged in your drinks, women. Okay? Drivers, do not drive if you have been consuming alcohol. We want to see the next 50, most of us, especially young people. We still remember, apart from the other things we're doing to get to our maximum age, there is all the foolishness that we do to make sure that we don't reach there. Okay? If it's far, if it's raining, stay off. There's nothing wrong with missing an event. It's kind of rainy, yes. Don't stand in the rain if you know you're prone to colds. There's no need to do the foolishness. Okay? It is really important that we all enjoy this 50th anniversary. As it almost feels like a birthday, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A new time, a time from which we can take the experiences of the past and apply them to our personal lives and make our lives better. It's a nice starting over point for us. 50 years is a major milestone for a little place like us, right? And the level of consciousness that we have put into this 50th anniversary should be a guide for all of us to go forward. Regardless of where you are, how can I change? How can I make it better, right? Again, if you're going to party, like I say, wear shoes that your shoes don't burn, and you have to walk outside barefoot. Big parties usually have broken bottles and all the rest of it. Okay?
Right.
Be careful who you meet, what you drink, and who you sleep with. There's still a lot of HIV and a lot of babies that will be born whether or not you want it.
Right.
Okay? So let's be responsible in our behaviors.
Right.
Both.
We have a caller on the line. We have a caller. Let's take the other call.
Yes.
Let's see who's with us. Oh, I think we lost the caller. I think we
get to call back.
Yes. Indeed.
So, this is a time for us to practice responsibility. This is a time for us to recognize that other people are coming, and there's all the things that are there. I am protecting me. Okay? This is a time for us to not be so unfriendly to each other and forget the parties and politics and the foolishness that holds us back from being the authentic Grenadians. I wonder where people come from and say, oh, boy, them Grenadians nice. And so I said, which Grenadians are you talking about? But generally, we can be a very nice people. We can be good. Let's not, create fights. And if you feel you have a grudge with somebody, don't be in a space where they are. Let's keep the guns in the ocean, drop them in the sea, get rid of them. Mm-hmm. There's no need to destabilize after 50 years. Right. Absolutely no need.
I think, yeah. Let's go back to the telephone. Our caller is with us again. Doctor and call, good evening.
In the ocean, drop them in the sea, get rid of them.
Hello.
There's no need to destabilize after 50 years.
Hello?
Yes, can you turn the volume of your radio or your TV down?
Yeah, I did.
Right, yes. So go ahead, please. Yeah.
Yeah. Doc, good night. Happy New Year to you. Basically, one question asking, why this chlorophyll is a prescribed drug in Grenada?
I didn't hear the question, I'm sorry.
Can you say again, caller?
Okay, asking the question, why this chlorophyll is a prescribed drug in Grenada?
Chlorophyll?
Yeah.
What is it?
Hydrochloric chlorophyll, HCl. HCl.
Can you spell it?
Okay. All right.
Okay, caller. No.
HLOROPHYLL.
Hydrochlorophyll.
Yeah.
Right. He's asking, why is hydrochlorophyll a prescribed drug?
I can't answer that question.
Yeah.
I have.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, well.
Thank you, sir.
We have a question on
Facebook.
I think, on the WhatsApp platform. Godfrey, good night. To Dr. Nixon. I have a granddaughter who has sickle cell disease. Should she become pregnant, seeing that she often go into crisis? Next one, my grandson who has seizures.
So one at a time.
Okay.
One at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So granddaughter, first of all, I hope your granddaughter attends a sickle cell clinic that happens monthly. If you live in the country, it happens at, I think, Granborough Health Center. And in St. George's, it happens at, I think, St. George's Health Center or the hospital. I don't remember. But you can call the Sickle Cell Association and find out what are the clinics. Because what we want to do is prevent complications, prevent pain. If your granddaughter is having pain, she should be on some medication. And then there are other things that she needs to do, like drink a lot of fluid. Please don't take her out to no parade or stuff unless you're in the sun, unless you're in the shade, and make sure she has a lot of water. Despite the fact that it's raining, it's actually very hot. So, your granddaughter, it is advisable that women who have full-blown sickle cell disease do not become pregnant. You remember me talking about earlier, Godfrey, about counseling, about marital counseling? Mm-hmm. Because I may have sickle cell disease. Today, I may have sickle cell trait. Today, what was that, January 22nd, 2024, there is active screening of newborns for sickle cell disease, and then they do the genotype, whether it's sickle cell trait or just active screening of sickle cell. And then you do further to figure out whether they have full-blown sickle cell or just a trait, right? But if there are men now who have never had a sickle cell trait, a sickle cell test, simply because 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we were not testing boys, right? The other thing is, so you don't know whether or not. But a woman might be tested when she's pregnant. A woman is supposed, that's a rule, okay? One of the screening tests that you do on women who are pregnant is to look for sickle cell. If she has sickle cell, you have to see if it's just a sickle cell trait or not. But you also need to test the partner. But who says that's her husband? That's her baby's daddy, right? Even if she's married to the person. But you want people to know exactly what their status is. Am I saying it's not going to change if something you're born with? It's like being a boy or girl at birth, okay? It's being a white or black person at birth. That's not going to change, all right? Those are genetic things that do not change. Now, you want to make sure that the Sickle Cell Association of Grenada is on a quest to screen as many people as possible. Currently, we are screening everybody when they're born, okay? You want to make sure that everybody knows what's their status. When you and I are going to come together, I should ask you, do you have sickle cell? Do you have sickle cell at all, right? We'll have to counsel young women who have sickle cell about pregnancy, and I tell you why. Is that right? But there's always a great risk of death. Why? You can become very complicated. Already with sickle cell, people who have sickle cell disease, the red cells tend to clump and cause like clots. They don't always say like that, but they clump a lot. Normally cells don't clump together, right? They clump. They're like little hooks, and they clump together and they clog the blood vessels, and that's why this little girl has pain. All right. When you get pregnant, you have more blood cells. That's how it is. In pregnancy, you have this hyper. It become more coagulate faster, and you have more cells. So we know that women who have sickle cell disease in pregnancy run the risk of having strokes, having heart attacks, having clots in their lungs. You understand? Whatever it is, having heart attacks, the brain, and having what we call lung sequestration lung disease, where these big clots are formed in the lungs, and they can die. So that is why they often advise not to have pregnancies. Guess what? There are women who have gone through that, but we know that it's a greater risk that a woman with sickle cell disease can actually have a complicated and a fatal outcome in a pregnancy. Ask me the second question before you forget.
Right. The second question. My grandson who has seizures has to get Tegretol CR 600 milligrams. And 400 in the morning and 400 milligrams in the evening. This is a lot because one Tegretol costs $1.05 and Keppra 1,000 milligram in the morning and 1,000 milligram in the evening. Can the government help, as most times I have to buy it?
So I'm hearing then that there's Tegretol, which there's a generic for. Tegretol is not available. It depends on where she's going to clinic. Maybe she should switch to a public clinic and may be able to access her medications through the public pharmacies. I'm not telling you that the medication is there because I don't really know, but that should be the routine, because a seizure disorder is a chronic disease and they should at least provide some of the medications. I know the medications are expensive, especially since he's taking so much. So what you should do is, I don't know where you are. I wish I could ask detailed questions, but hear me. Go to the pharmacists in the hospital, in the clinics, and have a discussion as to what is available if you're going to a health center. If it's not available, if you're already going to a health center and they don't have it, you probably should speak to the people at the social worker who's at the hospital, and she can give you some guidance, because your grandchild is going to need his medication to prevent him from having seizures. The more seizures you have, right, the more fits you have, the more brain damage you experience, and therefore the quality of life is going to decrease. So please go talk to the pharmacist first at the health center near you, and or the nurse in charge, so she can guide you. But a conversation with the pharmacist should help as to whether or not the medication is there. If not, you can actually seek help from the social worker I don't think there's social worker in the health center, so you'll have to go to the hospital and speak to the social worker to get some support. I hope this works for you.
Right. 435-2041. Any other questions? Because we're getting close to wrap up time. If we don't have any. So, Doc, I just want us to just briefly go back a bit and focus on the main thing here. 50 years of independence. There's going to be, there are a lot of celebrations taking place, lots of activities, lots of people, and we know what's happening. I just want us to reiterate the importance of taking the necessary measures to protect ourselves. But just before we do that, let's take the final call. Doctor on call, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Yes, good evening to the panel. I have a question. Seeing that we are approaching 50, the HIV pandemic was always in the circle that we was struggling with. With two people, normal person, a male and a female, having normal sex without any bruises or rips, where blood is not in contact, without anyone able to contract diseases?
Can you just repeat, caller?
Say that again?
Yeah, just repeat. We didn't hear you quite clearly.
Okay, I said as we're approaching 50th anniversary. The HIV pandemic was always in the circle while we embracing that disease.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to ask the doctor if she could give me an enlightenment on two people, a male and a female, having normal sex without bruises or ripping taking place during this intercourse. Can any one of them contradict the virus from one another?
Okay, thank you, caller. Yeah, we got you. All right. Mm-hmm.
Let me hear.
Yeah, so he's asking if people who are involved in sexual intercourse without getting any bruises or can they contract HIV?
So some of the bruises are so small you don't really recognize them. Right? There's always some degree of bruising. It doesn't mean a big old bruise that you can see and you have to put gentian violet or something on it. Even microbruises. Remember, these viruses are really, really, really tiny. So they just need any little point, not even a pinhead, a pinpoint smaller than that of space to get into. So still it's better that you use a condom, right? Or if you can abstain if you have anything. If you have an exclusive partner, your option might be to go get HIV testing, both of you together. And that way you don't have to worry. But if you're concerned, you might meet somebody and want to have intercourse. And condom is always best. Remember that ask somebody to show you put on a condom if you don't think you know. You have to hold the nipple of the condom, right? And squeeze the air out before you put it onto an erect penis. You can't put it on a flaccid penis because that's not going to stay, right? So when you have an erection, you hold the nipple, right? And you roll it down, you hold the top of the nipple and you roll the condom down along the shaft of the penis right up to the base, right? So the nipple is stuck together, right? If you don't do that, the condom is going to break or it's going to come off. If you don't ensure that the nipple is stuck together, the condom is going to break or it's going to come off. And then you might as well not have used a condom at all. Condoms are available everywhere. The public health care system, you can go to the health center and ask for, you can go to the STD clinic and get your condoms and don't be ashamed. A condom means long life.
Right.
Okay.
But Doc, I just want to just go on a little bit. He asked about bruises, but you don't necessarily need bruises to, get a STD for that matter.
But you need to have a thin mucosa where there's bacteria. This virus can penetrate. But like I'm saying, the virus is so tiny. And sometimes just a little separation because of touching, you're not seeing it. You can't see it. You can't see the bruise that might be in the rectal because there we have homosexual partners or in the vaginal mucosa. You may not see it, right? But it's there. And that's why it's important to take the precautions. 1, being exclusive with a partner. 2, testing. And 3, making sure that you and your partner are both negative. If you're going to engage in sex, that is not protected by a condom. Right.
So, yes, Doc. So back to our final question and wrap. I just want you to reiterate the importance of protecting ourselves in what we can refer to as a festive season, because it is. We are celebrating. We're in a celebratory mood. Let's just wrap by re-emphasizing that importance.
So I want everybody, and we want everybody to have a nice time. You know the song Jubilee, Jubilee. This is the year of Jubilee. It's really, really a good time. This is a song that comes from, folk song that comes from emancipation. Queen Victoria set her free, Jubilee, Jubilee, right? It's a kind of freedom we want to express, but freedom comes with responsibilities. Okay, everybody? Freedom comes with responsibilities. So guess what? You can fet as much as you want. You can go to every event, but you must protect yourself. Protect yourself from the heat and the rain. Cover yourself. Protect yourself so that mosquitoes don't bite you, that you breathe air that is unlikely contaminated, or you have a barrier to your air. You don't open everybody's face. A barrier to your face that should be able to prevent viruses, whether it's the flu virus, the common cold virus, the COVID virus from getting into your respiratory tract. Make sure that you're not burning the candles at both ends, because your immune system will fall apart. The truth is we have a whole year of celebration. February 7th and the days that follow, or the days around it, might be a little more intense, but we're going to have exhibitions and football and cricket games and, sports events. We have, right after that, we have character games coming up in April. There are a lot of things happening where there are a lot of people, and especially people whom you don't know, okay? Get your vaccine status up to date. Some of us have children walking around with their measles vaccine and all the rest. You don't want people to come into your country and your child is not prepared. We do not anticipate our children getting things like measles and stuff. But if they're not vaccinated, they probably will. Other people who come from other countries carry the virus undetected. Your children will, and your diagnosis may be missed because we don't expect your child not to be vaccinated. So I'm going to remind patients. There are still COVID vaccines that people can access if they want. We hear all kinds of stories, but I can remind you that COVID vaccines did protect a lot of us when at the height of the pandemic, okay? Or keep us, made sure we had more attenuated, more mild disease, right? And we didn't die, a lot of us. There's still people who have been admitted because they get pneumonias, but we're not having deaths from COVID. Remember to protect the people who live in your house, those who don't go out and whose immune status might be a little more fragile or a lot more fragile than ours, like our sick at home or grandparents who don't go out a lot. If you have disabled relatives that live in a house and all the rest. So you have a responsibility. Your newborn babies, please protect them. You don't have to take them out into the big old crowd of people that you don't know who they are and what they have, okay? If you're gonna go out, inebriation might be tempting, drinking rum and getting drunk and disorderly, or even orderly drunk, but it puts you at risk. It puts you at risk because we lose our inhibitions. We can't control what we do when we're drunk. Whether or not you're rolling on the ground and getting on, usually the decision-making ability drops. So be careful. Make sure you go home with who you left with, right? Don't pick up anybody out there because you don't know what they're carrying to give to you, right? Wear appropriate clothing so that you're not bitten by mosquitoes, so that you're not abused sexually. Whatever it is, take care of yourself. Do not drink excessively. Drink water. It is important that you drink a lot of water, that where our children are, that they are hydrated and safe and properly clothed. If an environment seems too crowded and too rowdy, you probably need to turn your back, especially if you're with kids. It is important that we protect our kids. But enjoy this. We're Grenadians, and this is a nice time to share. It's a good place to begin as one nation, moving forward. One nation extending its history, but in a positive way. Let's not be stupid. Let's really be smart, and let's be healthy. And when we celebrate the next 50, and I won't be here, neither Godfrey, that we can see, our grandchildren can see. My grandmother, my grandfather told me this is how the 50th was. Here we are, the 100, and I'm so happy to see how we advanced X, Y, Z way. Don't drink and drive. Don't use drugs. And for Pete's sake, please stop using those vapors. I've been seeing people. I met a young man last week, and he was his vape, and I said to him, let me feel this thing. And it was hot. And I said, this thing is going to make your lung like a popcorn. And he said, really, miss? I said, yes, and it will kill you. Oh, poor guy. He was so scared. But that's the truth, okay? Because somebody else is doing a vapor, you don't have to do it. Remember that.
Right. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you very much, Doc. I think it was a really wonderful discussion. I really enjoyed it.
One thing to say, and this is an advertisement, free advertisement. St. George's Northeast constituency, this is not a political event, but we have chosen to recognize 50 hard-working Grenadians, some of whom have passed, but who have worked very hard and contributed towards independence in the past, towards us being able to become independent, because there are criteria for England letting go a country. You have to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. The people who have contributed then and the people who continue to work hard now. It's not 50 people, but those are the 50 people that come to mind and that have excelled in several areas: sports, education, health, agriculture, community service, etc., business. And there's someone else I keep always forgetting. So please come to, especially North, people in St. George's Northeast. It's going to be at Spice Basket. Come and recognize the people who make us grow every day, who have given their life and not expected or gotten back anything to make sure this country can get to 50 safely and to get beyond 50 and learn that we can learn a lot from, because I've learned a lot from these people, the people who have contributed, hearing their stories. So I'm inviting the Northeast in particular and Grenada in general. I know there's something in the park, but that happened later in the night. I will start at 6:30 at Spice Basket, and our Prime Minister is going to be there because he thinks this is a very important thing. We need to recognize those who work. And my favorite statement, encouragement sweetens labor. We have to make our people who are working know that, yes, we see you and we're glad for what you do. So have a good weekend, everybody, and see you guys next week, Friday at 6:30 at Bolio.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Doc, and thank you to all our listeners, all our wonderful viewers on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, and of course on our WhatsApp platform. We thank you very much. Our listeners on K105 FM and also on GBN Television, we thank you for staying with us. And of course, we just want to remind you, please be safe. You have a responsibility to protect yourself, all right? So until next Tuesday, please be careful and let's celebrate, but let's celebrate in a responsible manner, especially where health is concerned. Thank you very much, and do have a good night. All the best.
Abuse. Cancer.
Measles. Diabetes. AIDS. Cancer.